Her hands rested on the cold glass, her eyes calm, but her heart was heavy. She was the last royal of the ancient Seraphin bloodline. A curse in her blood one that made it impossible for her or any Seraphin royal to have children. Doctors, scientists, across dozens of planets and systems, the answer was always the same. "You are biologically sterile, Your Highness," they told her. "Your DNA was damaged long ago. There is no cure." Alira had stopped crying. About 8 years ago, now she only felt cold fear. If she died without an heir, the Seraphon Empire would break apart. Greedy noble families would fight for the throne. Billions of people would suffer. A solution was needed, and fast. The High Council, a group of gray-robed advisors, sat in silence. She walked with grace and strength, but her steps echoed like drums in a grave. "Princess," said Elder Vithos, the oldest of the council. "They need hope. They need a future." "I am not blind, Elder," Alira said, "but hope cannot grow in a dead womb." The other council members shifted uncomfortably. One of them cleared his throat. "There may still be options," he said. "Unusual options. He works with alien DNA on Mars. He has made progress with impossible cases." "Human," Lyra repeated. She had met humans before Wild. Still, if there was even the smallest chance, "Bring him to me," she said. 3 days later, in a clean white lab on Mars, Marcus Ryland sat with his feet up on a desk, chewing on a protein bar. He was in his mid-30s, rough-looking, with stubble on his chin and sharp green eyes that had seen too much of the galaxy. He didn't wear a lab coat. He hated them, and his office was messy with data pads, empty mugs, and old tech. He was working on a sequence when the door opened. "Marcus Ryland," a deep voice asked. He looked up. 2 tall Seraphin guards in. "I am. I need your help." Marcus raised an eyebrow. Most people start with hello. Alira frowned, then took a deep breath. "Hello, my name is Princess Alira of the Seraphon Empire, and you might be the only one who can change that." Marcus stared for a moment. Then he sat down again, kicked his feet up, and said, "Well, this just got interesting." Her DNA was beautiful, so precise, so advanced but also broken in a very specific way. A key gene sequence was missing, one that allowed royal cells to divide and create life. "I've never seen anything like this," Marcus admitted. "Your biology is too perfect, too clean. That's your problem." Alira frowned. "Too perfect." "Human DNA is messy," Marcus said, smiling. "Are you saying you're better than us?" "I'm saying we're lucky freaks. You're designed like a..." Then said, "Can you help me?" Marcus tapped his screen. "Maybe, but not in a lab." "If I'm right, the answer isn't just science. Emotion. Integration. You'd have to bond with a human." Her eyes narrowed. "You mean marry one?" Marcus didn't blink. Yes, that night, Alira stood alone in the guest chamber of Marcus's lab facility. She had never felt so uncertain. Strange. But when she had spoken with Marcus, she had felt something. He didn't treat her like a royal. He didn't flatter her or fear her. He challenged. Her saw her not as a symbol, but as a person. She touched her belly, empty, silent. What if this was the way? Marcus shrugged. Depends. Seraphin marriage is psychic, emotional, and physical. It creates a molecular bond. We'd need to simulate that. If we do it properly, your body might respond. And you? Would you agree? He looked at her for a long time, then said, if we do this, it's not just science. It's real. I don't do lies. Alira smiled slightly. Neither do I. Back on Seraphin Prime, the High Council was outraged. When they heard her plan, marry a human, Elder Vithos shouted. You dishonor the bloodline. Save the bloodline, Alira replied calmly. There are traditions. There's no future without change. It would bring chaos. If chaos can give us life, then I will embrace it. With human and Seraphin witnesses, Alira wore a silver robe with glowing patterns. Marcus wore a black suit borrowed, a little wrinkled. but clean. They stood before a mixed council of elders and legal officials. Hands touched, vows were spoken. As the ritual finished, a wave of light passed between them. Hope, humor, and fire. He saw her too not as a perfect royal, but as a lonely woman holding an empire on her shoulders. The bond was complete. A week later, Alira sat on a medical table, her hands shaking. The scan beeped. Marcus looked at the screen. His eyes widened. She looked at him. "What is it?" "I didn't think." Marcus smiled softly. "You broke the curse, princess." "No," she whispered. "We did." The moment Alira saw the scan, she felt her heart stop. A new life was growing inside her. A miracle, the galaxy said, was impossible. She touched her belly slowly, carefully, as if afraid it might vanish. "I'm really pregnant," she whispered. Marcus nodded, still staring at the screen. "Yes, you're carrying a child." Alira closed her eyes, letting tears fall freely. She didn't care about royal pride now. She didn't care who was watching. For the first time in her life, the silence inside her was gone. The news spread like fire across the Seraphin Empire. Every planet, city, and outpost played the same message. Princess Alira of Seraphin Prime is pregnant. The royal bloodline is no longer lost. To the common people, it was a miracle. Hope returned to a cold empire. But not everyone was happy. In the golden tower of the High Council, Elder Vethos slammed his fist on the table. "Pregnant by a human. This is disgraceful." Another council member, Lady Kyrell, spoke carefully. "But she did what we asked. She found a way. This is good news." Vethos narrowed his eyes. "Good. This child is not Seraphin. It is a hybrid, half-blood, tainted." Others in the room looked uncomfortable. "If the people accept this child, our power will fade," Vethos said. "We must act." Lady Kyrell leaned forward. "What do you propose?" His voice turned cold. "End it quietly." Alira and Marcus returned to a private space station above Venus, far from politics and noise. Doctors checked her health every hour. Everything looked normal, yet not human and Seraphon DNA weren't supposed to mix. No one even knew what the child would become. One doctor, Dr. Wren, showed Marcus a strange chart. "Her body is changing," Wren said. "Her nervous system is connecting more to her child than expected. It's like they're sharing thoughts." Marcus frowned. "Telepathic? Maybe more?" That night, Alira had dreams: bright stars, warm voices, and a small, glowing hand reaching toward her. Marcus sat in the lab, studying blood samples. He had always loved puzzles, and this child was the biggest one of all. Every scan showed new data, new patterns. It was like the child's genes were building bridges between two species. "A designer," he whispered. "Born from love, but coded to unite." He leaned back in his chair and smiled. Humanity had always been the wild card of the galaxy. No one expected much from them, till they did the impossible. Now, that wild, unpredictable DNA had changed the fate of an empire. Meanwhile, in the shadows of Seraphin Prime, a group of elite assassins met in silence. They wore armor made of black glass and moved without sound. Their mission was simple: eliminate the child, their leader. A hooded figure named Kavos spoke softly. She must not give birth. The future must remain pure. One evening, Marcus made tea in the quiet kitchen, while Alira sat by the window. She held a small glowing orb in her hands, a Seraphon music sphere from her childhood. "Do you regret it?" she asked. He turned to her. "What? Marrying me, leaving Earth, getting involved in all of this?" He thought for a moment, then smiled. "You're stubborn, difficult, and you never say thank you." Alira raised an eyebrow. "But no," he said. "I don't regret it." She smiled. It's a rare, soft smile. "I didn't know humans could be so honest. I didn't know royals could be so lonely." That night, the attack came. The station lights flickered. Security systems went dark. Marcus woke first, gun in hand. He grabbed Alira's arm. "Stay behind me." 3 assassins broke through the airlock. Silent, deadly, they moved like shadows. But Marcus was ready. He fired 2 shots, 1 missed, 1 hit. The first assassin fell. The second reached Alia just as she screamed suddenly. A wave of energy blasted through the room. Everyone froze. The third assassin dropped his weapon and clutched his head, screaming. The second one fell to the ground, conscious. Marcus turned to Ayla. Hers were glowing. No, not her eyes. Her child. Somehow, the unborn baby had reacted to danger, protecting its mother. Marcus whispered, "What the hell are you, kid?" After the attack, the Empire was forced to act. Security doubled. Ships circled the station. Alira was moved to a hidden location on a peaceful moon. Far from the center of power, Marcus spoke to the High Council through a secure channel. "Someone sent killers after her. After our child? I want names." The council acted shocked and pretended to investigate. But Alira wasn't a fool. "They fear us," she told Marcus. "They fear what our child means." "And what does she mean?" he asked. She placed his hand on her belly. "She means change." As the weeks passed, Alira's connection to the baby grew stronger. She began to hear feelings, emotions, soft thoughts that weren't hers. Once, while walking through a garden, she stopped and gasped. Marcus ran to her side. "What is it?" "Curious," Alira said. "She's asking what light is." Marcus looked up at the stars. "She's already learning," he said. "From inside you." Alira smiled, but her eyes held worry. If she can feel now, what else can she do? Later, back on Earth, news of the child spread to human leaders and scientists. Some were amazed. Others were afraid. "If that baby has powers," one general said, "how long before it becomes a threat?" Marcus received a message from Earth's Unity. "Council, return the princess to Earth for safety and research." Showed it to Alira. "They want to study us," she said. "They want to control us," Marcus replied. She looked out at the stars again. "We belong to neither of them. We're something new," Marcus nodded. "Then we'll protect her. Together." But not all wanted peace. On the neutral space station Zero's Prime, dozens of alien diplomats gathered. The Seraphin Empire and human governments were both invited. Alira and Marcus appeared together, holding hands. She wore a flowing robe. He wore a simple suit. They stood before the council. "I am pregnant with a child that carries both human and Seraphin blood," Alira said. "We did not plan to change history, but we cannot run from what we are." Some clapped, others murmured, "A." Warwick Ambassador stood. "Such a child could tip the balance of power in the galaxy." Alira raised her chin. "Then maybe power needs tipping." Outside the station, another ship approached, unmarked, silent. Inside, Antis. Remaining assassins prepared for a final strike. "She is the key," Kavos said. "If she gives birth, everything we know will die." He smiled under his mask. "Let's end it." The stars above the neutral station Zero's Prime shone calmly, but inside its metal walls, tension filled every room. Princess Alira sat on a soft bench, one hand on her stomach. She could feel her child's quiet presence, calm, curious, but watching. "She's listening again," Alira whispered. Marcus stood by the window, arms crossed. "She listens a lot," Alira nodded. "She's learning faster than anyone expected. Too fast." Marcus looked at her, serious. "We need to keep her safe. You both." Alira met his eyes. "Then we need to leave." Late, the unmarked ship docked silently. No official greeting, no permission, no flags. Inside it, Kavos and his black-armored assassins prepared for war. They moved like shadows, silent and cold. Kavos, a former Seraphin enforcer, turned extremist. Hated what the child represented. "This hybrid child," he hissed to his men, "will destroy the bloodline, the old ways, sacred traditions. We must erase her before she takes her first breath." The men nodded. At the same time, deep inside the station, counselors debated. The child must be protected. said a human diplomat. She must be examined, argued a Seraphin elder. Studied, understood. She should be raised by both sides, suggested a peaceful alien leader. Alira stood among them, calm, proud. I will not hand over my daughter like a test subject, she said clearly. She is not a weapon. She is not a tool. Person Marcus stepped beside her, and she's ours. The room fell silent. And then the alarms began. Red lights flashed across the station. Security breach, unauthorized boarding detected. Alira's body tensed. She could feel it, not just danger, but a kind of hatred pushing toward her like a dark storm. Marcus pulled her clothes. We need to get out of here. Guards rushed toward them, but before they could reach the doors, the wall exploded. Fire and smoke filled the air. Screams echoed. Kovos walked through the fire, untouched. His armor shimmered like obsidian. Alira, he said calmly, you were once noble. Now you are the beginning of corruption. Marcus aimed his weapon. Come closer, and I'll end you. Kovos didn't flinch. You're just a human, a mistake. Alira stepped forward. And you're afraid. Raised a hand. Blades shot from his gauntlets. Fast. Deadly. But then everything stopped. The air froze. The blades hovered in midair. Even Kovos couldn't move. Time itself paused. A strange golden glow surrounded Alira. Her eyes widened. She's protecting us, Alira whispered. My daughter. Stop time. The energy snapped like a string. Time rushed back. The blades dropped harmlessly to the floor. Kavos stumbled, dazed. Marcus fired, once striking Kavos in the shoulder. Run, he yelled. They ran through burning hallways, dodging debris. Guided by Alira's instincts and the soft pulse of energy coming from within her, she could feel the safest path. The child was showing her. This way, Alira said, turning left. They reached a hangar bay. Marcus jumped into the pilot seat of a small scout ship. Alira climbed in behind him. The engines roared as they lifted off. Kavos arrived, bleeding, furious. He watched them escape into space. This is not over, he growled. The ship entered. Deep space. Marcus set the course to a quiet, hidden moon called Orialis Nina, place with no armies, no politics. Just forests, peace, and silence. As the stars streaked past the windows, Alira rested her head on Marcus's shoulder. I've never felt anything like that, she whispered. It's like she woke up. Marcus nodded. She saved us. Lita touched her stomach gently. She's not just alive, she's aware. On Orialis 9, the trees sang when the wind moved through them. The skies were soft purple, and the oceans glowed faintly at night. It was the perfect place to hide. Marcus built a simple home with auto-fabricators, wood, stone, and light. Nothing royal, nothing fancy, just quiet. Alira loved it. Every morning she sat by the lake and spoke to her unborn daughter. Do you hear the waves? She'd whisper. Do you feel the sun? And the child always answered not with words, but with feelings. Joy. Peace. One evening, as the stars rose, Alira had a vision in her dream. She stood in the middle of a battlefield, soldiers on one side, robots on the other. At the center, a child stood glowing with golden light. Her child, everyone pointed their weapons at her. Alira screamed, Stop! She's just a child! But no one listened. The child looked at her with calm, ancient eyes. Mother, she said, they fear me, because they do not understand me. Alira woke up sweating. Marcus sat beside her. Another dream. She nodded. A warning. He placed a hand on her stomach. We'll protect her no matter what. But on Seraphin Prime, Elder Vithos was gathering support. He blamed Alira for the political chaos, for breaking tradition. For trusting humans, he used fear. If that child survives, he told the nobles, it will be the end of everything, Seraphin. We must take back control. Hey, send a signal, a bounty. Find the princess. Find the child. Bring them back. Or end them. Back on Orialis, Nina, Alira, and Marcus noticed changes. The plants grew faster near their home. Water flowed brighter. The moon itself seemed to react to the baby's presence. She's changing the world around her, Marcus said. Without trying, Alira added. They began building a protective shield around their home. Marcus installed scanners. Alira trained with ancient weapons, preparing herself. She's still unborn, Alira said. And already the galaxy wants her. Marcus tightened his grip on his blaster. Let them come. Then one morning the sky turned red. Ships appeared Seraphon, human and others. Not full armies, but hunters, mercenaries, bounty seekers. The shield around the house crackled under pressure. Alira cried out in pain. It's time, she gasped. She's coming. Marcus helped her lie down. He activated the medical protocols. But outside, war was beginning. Kavos led the charge. From the forest. Through the air the attackers came, weapons fired. The shield shook inside. Lyra screamed. The house trembled. A soft glow filled the room. Then everything exploded in golden light. The attackers were thrown back by a wave of energy, and the forest trees bent away from the house. The air shifted. Space itself twisted. Marcus held Alira's hand. Breathe, he said. You've got this. Tears streamed down her face. She's coming. I can feel her heartbeat inside my soul. Lightning cracked across the sky. The child was no longer just an idea. She was arriving in that moment. Across the galaxy, telepaths, prophets, and machines paused. Something powerful had been born. Something impossible. Something new. Alira screamed as the storm of golden light swirled around her. Her fingers clenched the edge of the bed. Sweat ran down her face. Marcus held her hand tightly, whispering calm words, though his heart was pounding like a drum. You're doing great, he said softly. She's almost here. Outside, the world had changed. The sky over Aurealis 9 glowed gold. The grass moved without wind. The trees leaned toward their small home, as if nature itself was watching. The enemies had stopped attacking. They stood in silence, frozen with fear, staring at the strange energy rising into the air. It was powerful yet soft, wild yet full of peace. Inside the house, time slowed again, not fully stopped, just gentle, like the universe was holding its breath. Then came the sound. Not a cry, not a scream, just music, a soft hum, like stars singing. And then the child was born. Alira gasped as the light dimmed. She looked down and saw her daughter for the first time, small, glowing softly with faint golden veins under pale skin. Her eyes opened wide, deep violet like twin galaxies. Marcus stood beside her, speechless. He began, then stopped. She's perfect. Alira smiled, weak but proud. We'll call her Solara. The name meant born of stars. In ancient Seraphon, Solara didn't cry. She just stared at them, blinking slowly, completely aware. As if she had been alive for centuries, Alira whispered, Welcome to the world, my daughter. Across the galaxy, alarms rang in ancient temples, starships, and science stations. In the great hall of mines on planet Athen, a blind seer opened her eyes for the first time in 60 years. She is here, the seer said, the child of change. Earth, the Unity AI sent a strange alert to all government leaders. Unknown energy pattern detected, unmatched, uncontrolled, unstoppable name, Solara. Warning, potential galactic level event. Meanwhile, the attackers outside Aurealis 9 fell too. Their knees, some dropped their weapons, some simply wept. Even Kavos, strong and full of hate, stood still. He stared at the glowing home in the distance. What? Is she? He whispered. One of his soldiers said nothing. Kavos clenched his fists. We were too late. He turned to his ship. Fall back. This war is no longer ours. Back inside. Alira held Solara close. The baby reached up and touched her face with tiny fingers. A warm pulse filled the room. Marcus could feel his heartbeat slow, his thoughts calm. She's healing me, he whispered. Elira nodded. She feels everything. She understands everything. Solara blinked, and then in a voice so soft it was barely a whisper, she spoke. Mother. Father, both parents froze. She spoke, Marcus said. Shocked. She's not even a day old, Elira whispered. But Solara just smiled. In the following days, news spread, not just through media, but through minds. Solara's presence echoed. In dreams, thoughts, and feelings, her birth broke rules the universe had followed for thousands of years. On Seraphim Prime, Elder Vithos tried to keep control. She is a threat, a weapon. This hybrid child will erase our identity. But the people no longer feared her. They saw the videos, felt the energy, and heard the stories. A child born of peace, a child who stopped war with her very birth. On Earth, scientists begged for data. Religious leaders called her a divine signal. Some feared her, some loved her. Some wanted to claim her, but all agreed Solara changed everything. On Orialis 9, life became both peaceful and strange. Solara grew fast. By her first week, she could walk. By her second, she could speak full sentences. She learned 10 languages. Read through Marcus's science books and Elira's royal archives. But she still laughed like a child. Played in the garden, hugged her parents. She's both old and young, Elira said. Like the future and the past together. Marcus nodded. She's not just smart, she's something new. One evening, as stars blinked in the sky, Solara stood at the edge of the lake. Staring at her reflection, Elira came to her side. What do you see? She asked. So, I see a storm. And a light and choices. So many choices. Elira bent down. You afraid? Solara shook her head. Not for me. That same night, a large ship arrived above the moon. It was not Seraphim, not human. It was old. Older than any known race. Inside it were creatures of pure light and shadow, the Lusari, a forgotten species from the edge of time. They sent a message. To Marcus and Elira, we felt her birth across galaxies. She is the key. She can open what was sealed. Or destroy what remains, Elira responded. She is just a child. Not for long, they said. The Lusari came in peace. But they asked only one thing. Let Solara come with us. Let us teach her who she is. Elira refused at first. She's ours. She stays with us. But Solara, now just a month old, stood between them. Mother. Father. I must understand myself. Marcus struggled with the words. But you're still so small. I'll return, Solara promised. And I know what I must become, Elira. Kissed her forehead. Wherever you go, take our love with you. Solara nodded. And then the Lusari ship disappeared into a fold of time and light. Solara, it's gone, but not forgotten. The war stopped. The bounties were erased. Alida were no longer hunted. They were known as the parents of the Golden Child. Some called Solara a prophet, others a symbol of peace. Some still feared what she might become, but deep in their hearts, Elira, and Marcus knew, she was not the end of something. She was the beginning. 10 years passed. On the quiet moon Orialis 9, Marcus and Elira lived a peaceful life. Their house was the same simple, beautiful, and surrounded by forests that still glowed with soft golden light. It was the only reminder that something magical had happened here. They hadn't heard from Solara since she left with the Lusari. But every night, Elira sat by the lake, staring at the stars. She'll come back, she said softly. I feel her heart beat in mine. Marcus always nodded, though sometimes he doubted. I just hope she's still our little girl. Across the galaxy, the world had changed. The wars between humans and Seraphons had stopped. Peace treaties were signed. Joint colonies began. Scientists studied the golden energy that once exploded from Orialis 9, but they couldn't explain it. Solara became legend. Some believed she would return to rule. Others said she had become a goddess, and in dark places, old enemies whispered her name with fear. The child of change. The hybrid flame, the starborn, but no one had seen her until the sky opened again. On a quiet morning, as Alira was tending to a glowing flower bed, a soft wind moved through the trees. It was not natural, it was familiar. She stood still. The air shimmered in front of her, and golden light bloomed like a flower in the air. The light twisted, shaped itself, until a figure stepped forward. She was tall, graceful, dressed in silver and white. Her eyes were deep violet, and her voice calm and clear said, "Mother." Alira gasped. "Solara." She dropped everything and ran forward, wrapping her arms around her daughter. Marcus rushed from the house, his eyes wide with disbelief. He stared for a moment, frozen. "Solara." He whispered. She turned and smiled. "Father?" He sat by the lake like they had long ago. But this was no longer a child. Solara looked about 20 years old in human form. Her face still glowed with golden light. Her hands sparkled when she moved them. But her heart was still the same. "I missed you every day," she said. "We waited," Alira replied. "We never stopped hoping." Solara looked up at the stars. "I learned more than I can explain. The Lusari showed me things hidden from all species, ancient truths, forgotten dangers." Marcus leaned forward. "Are you in danger now?" Solara nodded slowly. "We all are." She told them what she had seen. Far beyond the known stars, there was a force older than life. It had no name, no body, just hunger. It had destroyed other galaxies. It moved slowly, like a shadow stretching across time. The Lusari called it the hollow light. "It doesn't kill planets," Solara explained. "It erases what makes life matter: thought, hope, memory." Marcus's face turned pale. "And it's coming here?" Solara looked at both of them. "It already has." On Earth, strange reports began. People losing memories overnight. Colonies where no one could speak or dream. Ships disappearing into empty space, still visible, but forgotten. Their meaning had been deleted. The hollow light was feeding. Solara stood and faced her parents. "This is why I was born. It's not just to bring peace, but to defend what life really is." Alira held her hand tightly. "You don't have to face it alone," Solara smiled sadly. "But I do. I'm the only one who can survive its touch." That night, she walked deep into the forest. She sat beneath the oldest tree on the moon, where golden roots touched the stars. She closed her eyes and whispered into the void, "I'm ready." The stars above flickered, and then the sky broke open. A hole appeared, not black but hollow, like something was missing from reality. Shapes moved inside it, whispers with no words, feelings with no source. Marcus and Alira ran outside, looking up in fear. From the hole something fell, a piece of the hollow light. Taking form, it looked like a human, but its face was blank. Its steps made the ground forget it had been stepped. On Solara stood up. "You can't have this world." The hollow spoke without sound. "Why do you resist?" Solara raised a hand. "Because I was born to remember." They fought in silence, no weapons. Just will. The hollow tried to erase her name. She burned brighter. It tried to steal her thoughts. She sang an ancient song taught by the Lusari. It showed her a world without her. She created a world full of joy. The ground shook. The skies wept. Solara began to rise in the air, surrounded by a golden halo. Marcus and Alira watched in awe, fear. Their daughter was no longer just a being. She was a force of balance. Then came the final moment. The hollow wrapped itself around Solara, trying to pull her into its core. She didn't resist. Instead, she spoke, "I forgive you." The hollow paused. "You are emptiness," Solara whispered. "But I am full of life. I am the memory of all who came before." And then she exploded in light. Not fire, not destruction, just memory. Millions of lives, thoughts, songs, love, pain, dreams, all the meaning, the hollow, had tried to erase returned in a single burst. The hollow screamed without sound and vanished. The sky sealed itself. Silence returned. Solara fell gently to the ground. Smoke curled from her shoulders. Marcus. And Alira ran to her. Solara. Alira cried. Marcus held her in his arms. You're safe now. You did it. Solara smiled weakly. We did it together. Then her eyes closed. Her body turned to golden dust, and she was gone. Alira wept. Marcus held her close, but then the wind shifted. The dust rose, glowing, spinning, and from it, a small shape formed. A child. A baby. Girl, just like 10 years ago. Eyes opened. Violet. Curious, the baby giggled. She's reborn? Marcus asked in shock. Alira nodded through tears. She gave everything, and returned to us. They named her Solara once more. She was new, but somewhere deep inside, the memory of who she had been remained, and across the galaxy. The stars sang her name. The girl who was born of love, raised by peace, fought with memory, and returned with hope. The one who proved the impossible. All because a Seraphim princess once loved a human.